Here we have a little experiment, and we want to measure in this experiment the production of a fluorescent protein. So what would this experiment actually look like? Let's say we have a test tube here. So that's our test tube, and in this test tube we have a cell lysate. So a cell lysate with all the components, plus we have a plasmid included that encodes for the DNA of, say, a green fluorescent protein. And we start this reaction and then measure basically the light emission when this green fluorescent protein is translated in our cell mixture. And let's say we've got, perhaps 10 microliter of this mixture. And what we measure is the relative fluorescent units. And we measure that in a given time. So we have a machine that does the reading for us. So every 30 seconds, for example, it will take a reading and it will measure the relative fluorescent light units here. So we've got our data table here, time in second versus the relative fluorescent units. And what we can also do is we can, once we've done this experiment, we can correct for any background, but by just simply subtracting the background fluorescent, which might be from the components that we have in this translation mixture from our RFUs. So we would have these corrected data here, which is just simply minus the background. Okay, so what do the data actually look like? So let's just simply plot the data. Let's use the time data here, and I highlight them. And I probably should go to insert first. And I plot that versus the corrected data. And we will choose a scatter plot here. And I want to have it with a nice line in it. And here we've got our data. So here on the x-axis, we have the time in seconds. So here that would be time in seconds. And on the y-axis, we've got our relative fluorescent units here. And what we want to know actually is how much protein do we actually produce per time unit. How much protein do we produce? So in other words, what we are looking for is basically the rate of the reaction. I'll write that down. The rate, and we probably go for the maximum rate of the reaction. And that is what we are looking for. And so here we've got our trace, what is produced, and what we are seeing here is really the amount of the green fluorescent protein that is produced. So now we need to think about how we can actually work out what this maximum rate of this GFP production is. And that will be discussed in the next video.